I'm not showing up.
Well, I don't know. Haley.
Yep.
Yep, there you
All right. So,
are. I can leave my ball game on in the background,
yes,
huh? Okay.
we are live. Hi, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. While we're waiting for folks to come on in, I'm going to go ahead and play you a little piece of music that Tyler wrote. Good stuff, y'all. Good stuff. And let me get it going for you here. Hopefully, y'all will enjoy it. I always do. I think he's an excellent writer. So, hi, Ashley. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Crystal. Thank you for coming to see us. Hi, Misty. Hi, Denise. I hate how everything's backwards. Hi, Lisa. Yes, it's going to be on YouTube afterwards, Ashley. Thank you for asking. It's going to be on YouTube, Twitter, Tribal, you name it. Hi, Donna. Hi, Lavon. Tyler writes such beautiful music. Please share the live out, everyone, please. Share it out, share it out, share it out. Hi, Molly. Hi, Heaven. All right. And that's the end of that. And that is, oh, wait, it's not the end. I'm sorry. We'll give it just a minute. Let some more people get in here. Yeah, it's got a few pauses in it to where other instruments come in that he didn't write for. So anyways, so that's that one, y'all. And we're good with that, aren't we? That was good. He is getting better and better and better and better. That was one of his ones from in the beginning when he really started writing more seriously. So I love it. He's not with us tonight again because he has a deadline for tomorrow for a piece that he's writing that he's actually going to be performing. So it's amazing. Hi, Dawn. Oh, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you so much. Glad you're here. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's great, Dawn. Whoever. I mean, it doesn't matter. We just like to get everybody um, in here so that everybody can see. Hi, Daniel. How are you? That's okay, Daniel. Sean, hi, Sean. Okay, everybody. So let me get started. We will be having Sean, Jamie's sister, as a guest speaker tonight with us. We have a lot more followers. Hi, Mickey. A lot more followers than we had when we initially started this page. So I kind of want to bring everybody up to speed on who Jamie is. And hi, Melissa. Hi, Patricia. And, let everybody know the direction of the case and so on and so forth before we jump into the update. Because there's so many people that are new, it would be so much beneficial for them to know where we're at, right? Like what we're talking about without everybody having to be like, huh? What happened? So yeah, that'll make it much easier for us. So let's do this. I'm just turning down my phone there. All right. And that way I can see what's happening and all that stuff. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Hi, Mandy. Thank you, Mandy Montgomery, following from Ohio. We love you. Thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone in here. Hi, Mickey Marshall. All right. If I miss you, My assistant, Misty Franklin, she's in the comments, as well as Sean Claiborne. She is Jamie's sister. She's in the comments as well right now. And so she can answer any questions you might have as I'm talking. Hi, Brian. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So Jamie Valdez is from Boonville, Arkansas. He went missing, supposedly, we don't have the exact date, but supposedly on June 9th of 2021. And he had just recently been married for 4 weeks. And then him and his wife had an argument, is what she says happened. They had an argument. Hello, Kimberly. And then all of a sudden, he disappeared. And I have a lot of issues with that. And I've never been quiet about that. And I'm never going to be. So it is what it is. Anyways, they found Jamie's car abandoned on a road out in Sugar Grove, Arkansas. And then, of course, Jamie's not been seen in over 1.5 years. And there's been a lot of things that have happened that have, this case has made me sick, for lack of a better word, truly. So we're going to go through some of those things, some of the rumors that were out there being said. I want to clarify some of the rumors that were out there being said, because all I deal with here is fact. If you can't prove it, then hush, right? I mean, I don't want to hear any nonsense. I have to find Jamie. So there were rumors that he used to beat his wife. Jamie did not beat his wife, and there's no proof that he ever did. He wasn't that kind of a person. It's been said that, the person spreading that is his wife. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And let me say at the very beginning of this, like I always do, all parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So anything I say on here is, you know how it goes, right? Y'all know. I think it's, I just want to be very clear that it's known. Hi, Kimberly. Right there. Disclaimer. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And that's exactly what I intend to happen. So, anyway, so there's been rumors that Jamie may have been a predator. Not true. Not true at all. And I have proof of that in Jamie's file. Yeah. Nothing about that was true. That was so far from the truth that it's not even funny. It's just sickening. So, but anyways, hi, Valerie. Hi, Pam. Y'all, we'll get to that in a little bit. Hi, Mandy. Now, also, y'all, if you scroll all the way back through my videos towards the front, you'll see a very long video there. That is the first interview that the family did on Facebook with me about Jamie. And it has a lot of information in it. So if you get a chance, it's a 3.5 hour long video because it's a lot of information. But even if you just watch it in sections or whatever, it is good watch for people that know Jamie and want to know what really happened. Okay? So, it is it's no secret of my unhappiness with the case, the way the case has been handled. I am pro law enforcement all the way, and always appreciate, hi Kristen, always appreciate law enforcement and everything that they do. They put their life on the line all the time. Every day that they step out on the street, and let's face it, the way everything's going right now, it's not that safe for them, right? So, but if I see what I feel is an injustice, I'm going to say so. I've been doing this for a while, and for a few years, human rights activism and all kinds of stuff like that. Investigations, and this has been a big issue to me in that from the very beginning, I feel like the case wasn't handled correctly, and we will address that more later. Initially, when Jamie went missing, it wasn't reported right away. It was like, la-di-da, la-di-da, buying time. And then he was finally reported missing, and, it wasn't taken seriously. I believe, in my opinion, and I have a right to my own opinion, because there was a friendship relationship between the acting police chief of Boonville and Anna when they were younger. So I think initially when she reported him missing, and mind you, I said I think, it was like I didn't have anything to do with it. He probably took off and he's running around. He does that all the time, takes off, and he's doing bad things and shacking up with women, and hello, Carol. And so it was just, pretty much accepted as that's what happened. Her word was, taken for it. So then when they found his vehicle abandoned, even though it had this crazy message on the back that said, "He is near, please help me," which we later on found out supposedly some kids did it. I don't believe that either, but let's just say they did. Still, when they found his vehicle, the attitude was nonchalant. It's like nothing I ever seen in my life, y'all. The OnStar was missing. The seat, the driver's seat, was torn, like somebody was fighting for their life. That's what it looked like. And it didn't take a seasoned investigator to look at that and go, holy crap. And then there was, the weird message on the back, right? So, as the acting police chief, I'm thinking to myself, if it were me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, something's wrong here. Let me impound this vehicle. Let's process it. Let's get fingerprints. Let's get fibers, hairs, environmental evidence, etc., off of this vehicle. And till we know what we're dealing with. And none of that happened, y'all. None. In fact, within 24 hours, Sean says the vehicle was returned to Anna without any evidence or anything being taken from the vehicle. Are you shocked? I am. You don't do that. That's not how it works. Always in an investigation, the spouse is the first person you're looking at, especially when the spouse has only been married to the missing person for 4 weeks. 4 weeks, y'all. And everyone around town was saying she already had a boyfriend. And she did. So, hello? I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? So this is the way that this investigation started out and the way that it has gone all along. And I am angry. I'm angry for Jamie, most of all, Jamie's beautiful daughter, and Jamie's family who have been suffering. I'm so angry that they have been treated this way. So then, Anna's, running around living her life, and new boyfriend after new boyfriend after new boyfriend, and Jamie's vehicle got repossessed, and, who knows what all that entails. But the truth is that anything that I've been involved with, Anna has refused to participate in. When the 2 news stations came to Boonville to interview the family about Jamie missing, I interviewed, Sean interviewed, and Anna refused to interview. In fact, she's refused to interview with anybody except for her friend at the police department. If that is not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. And so I'm at the point now where I feel like I have to proceed further up the ladder to get this taken care of. Now, Anna did say that she would interview only if it was on Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, y'all. So if any of you are so inclined, when we're done with this live and you feel like popping over to Dr. Phil's website saying that you would like to see her be interviewed by Dr. Phil, please do so. Let her put her money where her mouth is. That's what I say. I mean, who says, I'll interview if I can get on Dr. Phil? She refused a lie detector test. She refused to be interviewed when we did the first interview with the family. The only person that she interviewed with is the criminal who's in prison right now, Anthony Greeno, and his friend. And I'm being told now they're pals. Now, I'm not there, so I don't know how much they are pals with each other, or if they even are, but that's what I'm being told. So, and I've been told by several people that when they did that interview that they didn't, you know, it was very, if you watch that interview, y'all, and a lot of people have an opinion about that interview and how Anna reacted. The truth of the matter is that Anna didn't answer any questions. She was led, and Caitlin said the answers for her. That's not an interview. An interview is where you let somebody get on there and talk. Let them answer the questions. You ask a question and they answer it. That's how an interview works. So during that whole video, y'all, if you watch it, you'll see that, it was just such an injustice. Such an injustice to Jamie. Such an injustice to his family. Such an injustice from two people claiming to give a darn. And it was BS. So, moving forward, the case has gone pretty much like that. But I suspect that that's about to change. So tonight, I want to bring everybody back up to speed on where we are in the case. Again, like I said, the video is down below. It's a 3.5-hour video. Watch it in sections. You don't want to miss anything. And that video has not only Sean, but Daniel Valdez as well is on there. And Nikki, the sister Nikki, is in the comments. So it's an interesting video to watch. It's got a lot of information, and you'll understand more what's happening, okay? Okay, so let's move on over here to Sean. Are you ready? Just drop it in the comments if you're ready, Sean. Everybody, let me say something. This is very important. This woman has been on a one-man crusade, if you will, or one-woman crusade for a year and a half now. And she puts, I honestly can't even say how much time into this. And the suffering she's been through, the sorrow she has been through. And at this point, she just wants to bring her brother home and put him to rest near their mother, because she has accepted the fact that Jamie's gone. Mostly because Jamie would never do this. He would never not be in contact with anybody, the people that love him. And the one big one, he would never, ever, ever not be in contact with his baby girl. Ever. Wouldn't happen. That is the biggest lie ever. So, you would like to see that video, Melissa? We'll get you that link, because I don't have it on my page because it's trash. Trash, lies, and trash. But I do know somebody who has it, because it must be said. It must be said. all of Anthony Greeno's videos were removed from YouTube. There was a petition by a lot of true crime or missing persons advocacies. They got together a petition to have his videos removed from YouTube because that says it all, right? That says it all. They wouldn't have done that for no reason. And he sits in prison right now. So, and it's not the first time. So, and yes, Patricia, I know y'all will. I just will not put it on my site. But Sean is in here. And so, we can get that over to people that would like to see it, but I'm not putting that up on my page because it's lies. And everybody that watches it, they're like, holy crap, So yes, I definitely will be accommodating in that, we'll try to find a way for y'all to watch that, okay? You'll walk away from it going, wow, she got away with crap. But you know what? She didn't. She thinks she did, but she didn't. So anyway, she even buzzes around in here on my page. So if you're in here, Anna, let me say, I'm not going away. Okay, so let me get this over to let me get this code over to Sean so that she can join us, and it'll be so much better. Okay. All right, let me see. Whoops. I can hear the sweet sound of music coming from the living room. And it's amazing. I love it. Okay, Sean, I am sending it over to you right now. And we'll wait. We'll give Sean a moment to come in and join us, and then we'll get to more stuff. So let me see what we got here. Oh, definitely, Patricia. Definitely. Did you get it, Sean? Hi, Jessica. Thank you for joining us.
You froze on my phone.
Hi, Erica. Thank you for joining us. Okay. I will give a summary in a moment. We're waiting for our guests to enter. Sean, I sent it to your there you are. Hi, Andy. Thank you for joining us. This is such a lovely lady, y'all. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Tracy.
You're always so lovely. Such a beautiful lady. Thank you for joining us again tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
On this journey for Jamie, right? Journey for Jamie. That's a good one. Okay. So let me just say real quick, again, little recap for the people that are coming in late. This is Sean, Jamie Valdez's sister. She's joining us tonight to do a update on Jamie and where we are in the case, what's happening, what we do know, what we don't know, all that different stuff. And so Jamie went missing June 6th of 2021. So we're told. We don't know that's exactly the date, but that's what we were told. It could be give or take a few days or a week or whatever. He went missing after being married to his wife for 4 weeks. They had a fight. By her admission, they had a fight. And he went missing. And nobody has seen him since. There's been a extremely horrible stream of events in the investigation, things that did not happen that should have happened, and it's just been a joke, really. Since then, there was a previous relationship, friendship relationship. I don't want to infer that it was more than that, or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but there was a point where Anna, his wife, had lived with the chief of police as a kid, even went on a family vacation with them. And so they had, enough of a relationship that I feel like, in my opinion, that it's a conflict of interest. I feel like there were things he didn't do in the investigation that he should have done. And I want to know why he didn't do them. Why, when they found his vehicle, why didn't they take fingerprints? Why didn't they search for fibers? Why didn't they process the vehicle at all? They just gave it right back to her. Like, here you go. They took her word for it. Oh, he must have taken off with a girl and he's running around doing, bad things or whatever. But no, that's not what happened. And we know that's not what happened. So, anyways, that's the recap, y'all. We're going to get caught up a little bit here more and talk about those things. So, how have you been, Sean? As if I don't know, but...
Tired, but doing okay. And I do want to say that the chief told me himself that she had lived there in their home, but he also said that he didn't really remember her. I can remember whenever I was 9, and actually whenever I was 9, we had some people living with us, and I remember them pretty well. So, there's that.
Yeah. But, I find that kind of hard to believe because, some of the messages that I've been receiving, whether they're true or not, they're the same message. But they're messages saying that, they were close enough that Anna went on vacation with them to Mexico and stuff like that. I mean, she was part of the family.
Yeah,
So,
Anna actually told me that herself, that she
oh,
had
I did not know that.
yeah, she had gone on vacation with them.
Yeah,
And
see?
she and his sister were at that time very good friends. So whenever they went on vacation, she got to tag along.
Right, right. So, I mean, what else has he been forthcoming with, Sean? Has there been anything, let's talk about like your conversations with the chief of police. Have you asked him about Anna taking a lie detector test?
Several times, yes. And have always been given excuses as to why it had not happened yet. One of the excuses was because of COVID, which, COVID was going pretty strong at that time, that there just wasn't enough officers to be able to do it. Then later, whenever I would ask for a follow-up, actually face-to-face, he said that the new recruits were coming in and they were all required to take a lie detector test. So the two guys certified to do the lie detector test were busy with that. And I did talk with a friend's husband who is a homicide detective in Fort Smith. And I asked him, are there really only two people who are certified to do these lie detector tests in the state of Arkansas? And he said, oh, no. He's like, I'm one of the ones who is certified and I could do it if I needed to. And he said, if they don't want to do a lie detector test, we could always do a stress test where all we do is talk on the phone and we ask her specific questions and she would reply to their questions and it would be monitored and they could do a stress test that way. And, I know Anna is not a fan of humans. She's told me that several times. She doesn't like people. So, I thought, well, yeah.
Okay.
I thought that might be an option. And so I took that information to the chief and let him know, that the Sebastian County Sheriff Department Homicide Division was willing to do a stress test if they didn't want to do the lie detector test. And maybe it would be feel less invasive.
What was the response?
There wasn't a response.
Wow.
And most of the time, whenever I email, there's not a response. If I call, and sometimes I may have to call several times, I'll finally get through to him and he'll talk to me if he's there. Usually if I have to leave a message, it takes a while for him to get back to me.
Mm-hmm. So what's the longest time that you've gone where you've communicated to them and they've not, when they got back to you? So like if you emailed them or called them, what's the longest time it took them to return that call or email?
There's only actually been a couple of times when I've emailed that I would get an email back either the same day or the day after. Most of the time it would be a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. If it was something important that I really felt like I needed to talk to him about, I'll email him first, let him know, what's going on. If I've heard something, somebody has a tip or whatever they want to share. And if I don't hear back from him, then I'll call. And he's not the best at emailing back. I know he's busy. He's in court every morning. And somebody asked which chief this is. This is the chief of Boonville Police Department in Arkansas. But he's in court every morning. probably until at least noon. And so his time is limited, and I realize that. However, Jamie is important. We're important. We want answers. We need answers. And, you know, I kind of feel like we're not being taken seriously.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. See, the thing is that crime is what is more important, not the chief of police policing the courtroom. Put an officer in there. You have a job to do. Your job is to protect and serve. He has to do what he has to do to find Jamie. And the thing is that he won't allow anyone else to help. And I'm going to jump on that bandwagon because that bandwagon is full and I've had it with that.
Yeah, somebody asked why the Arkansas State Police is not investigating. I've called them. I've called the FBI. I've called all of the higher up agencies. They have to be invited to come in before they will step in. And whenever I've asked the chief specifically, can we get the state police in? He said, we don't have enough evidence to bring them in. There's not a body. Yeah, there's not a body, but we know he's not here anymore. We just know. So, you know,
well, you know,
and I don't even know if there is a body to be found, you know, so.
Right. You know, there is a certain, you know, protocol, if you will, that they are required to follow. And he did not follow that protocol at all. And he in fact, made himself the lead investigator on the case.
Right.
Why? Why did he make himself? Why wouldn't he reach out to somebody and say, look, I need some help, you know? The sheriff's department was willing to help. You know, all these different people were willing to help. EquiSearch said, hey, we'll come out and we'll do a foot search. We'll search everywhere that we can until we find some evidence. And what did he say?
The first time that I talked to him about EquiSearch, he did say that he thinks they're reputable and he's heard good things about them.
Of course they are.
And he did say then that, you know, he would like their help. So whenever I kept pressing about this, because it wasn't, you know, they weren't being called. And I was in pretty close contact with EquiSearch. The guy, he actually lives in Houston, and I mean, he's in my contacts on my phone and we message occasionally. And so he has said, I'm very interested in coming up there. I've got people in Arkansas. I've got
Erica, that would be wonderful. Please.
Yeah, it really would. I've got people in Texas. They'd all would be willing to come up there. So I had reached out to the chief again and said, can we get them coming in? And he said, well, it's hunting season, so it's not safe for them to come right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we waited.
Off an area for a crime, you know. I mean, yeah. What's more important, hunting? Or
they actually do like to search like a 5-mile radius, and they search it pretty thoroughly. I mean, they've gone in and they found people that other search teams have gone in and looked and not been able to find anybody.
That's right.
And they're able to locate these people that, I mean,
because they're not just
7 years.
Yeah, they're not just searchers, they're trackers.
Yes,
they
and they're
know
very
how
well
to track.
Yes.
And that's a big difference when you know how to track. You can see when somebody's been there, whereas you or I, the layperson, would be like, No, I didn't see that. Where'd you see that? You know, so of
Right.
course, I mean, they're professionals. That's what they do, and that's why they're so good at what they do.
Right.
And it's just a travesty of justice for Jamie
Hmm.
that they wouldn't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
It's like they're buying time, hoping that you'll just give up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I've had some low spots, and probably the most low I've been has been recently. But even then, I'm like, I'm not giving up, because I know Jamie wouldn't give up on me if it was, the tables were turned. He just
right.
wouldn't do it.
He
So until the day I die, I will keep looking for my brother.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we'll be raising the roof everywhere that we can. And so, okay, so let's talk about other things that have happened since all that, because we know that you offered to pay a private person that I found for you to do a lie detector test on Anna. And what happened?
Well, she pretty much flatly turned that down and wasn't interested, and said that, if we thought she did it, then we didn't deserve, to even be friends or anything like that. And, it's not a question of friendship. At that time, it was a question of, let's get you out of people's eyes.
Right.
Let's get you a lie detector test so it can prove that whether or not you are involved. And if you're not involved, there's nothing to worry about.
Right. Because in the beginning, it has to be said that you weren't sure if she was involved. It's just over time, as she kept doing things and you kept finding things out, that you went, oh my God, she's got to be involved. She did something, because she won't even, engage in any way. She's not. She went out on how many searches for him?
The only search she went on was the one that had come up as the last phone location, not the last phone ping, just the last location on the iPhone, iCloud, or whatever. And she did go on that. But we were told later not to invite her to the next one that we were doing in that same area. By the chief said, don't invite her to this. And I'm like, okay. So it made me wonder why.
Well, yeah, exactly, Teresa. I'm with you. Yeah. We're going to handle that. Okay. So, because the first time that she went out, it was with Anthony Greeno and his pal, right? When she went out to search, and she feigned a panic attack on the side of the road or wherever, right there in the woods.
They were actually going into the woods at the time when she had her panic attack and had to sit and be consoled, and couldn't move any further. And my sister and I, we did a search. And it's not easy. It's not easy knowing you could possibly go in there and find remains. But
according to her, he was off partying with women.
Right.
So why would she be having a panic attack?
Good question.
Yeah. According to her, he was partying. He was abusive. He was a predator. He was partying.
She even said that after the search. And
yeah, I know. I got a file, like this thick. Yeah. I know what she said. So,
even recently, she had come to me and said that she found a Twitter message between Jamie and another lady, and was certain, she was saying, telling all of her friends that Jamie was involved with this other lady right now. And so I got those messages sent over to me and saw that he mentioned 2 different times going to pick up his daughter, because this was a conversation that had lasted, I don't know, a couple of months or whatever, that he was talking to this person. But it was obvious, number one, that person was from overseas. Their language skills were not good. And I'm not talking about somebody who is, you know, an Arkansas hick or Oklahoma hick, which, and I don't mean that to be offensive, because I know there's a lot of smart people there. But her language skills indicated somebody who was from Europe or overseas or somewhere else. And like I said, 2 different occasions, Jamie mentioned he was on his way to go pick up his daughter and she was going to spend the night. And another time he was going to go pick up his daughter and she was going to spend the night with a friend. So, you know, there was all that going on. So I asked her, the daughter, did you ever go over to, because I knew she didn't go when they were out of state. Did you ever go over to Anna's mother's house? And she said, no, never. And so, well, okay, that's all I needed for that, to know there's no way that this lady, and the lady asked for a specific iPhone, and I think it was from 2019. So it was before they had even met. But here she was trying to throw him under the bus, saying, you know, Jamie's out partying, he's with this other girl, and, you know, I've got proof. And I'm like, that's not proof. And so I sent all of that to the chief and said, this is what she's trying to say. And here's why it's not true. And I listed out the reasons. And so anyway.
And she's done a lot of that. It's like conditioning, you know, people who are watching, you know, trying to go in and change the public opinion of what's going on. She's tried that several times. She tried it with that. She tried it when she tried to say that he was a predator. She sent you an awful, you know, it wasn't an awful message, but it was a message that if you didn't know the truth, it could be misconstrued. But what did I do? You and I both went directly to the source, right?
Yes.
And asked them, what is up with this? And it wasn't anything like that at all.
Right. Yeah.
But she was trying to tell everybody that this was proof that Jamie was a predator.
Yeah.
Jamie was a child predator. And that's not true at all. We have solid, firm proof that that's not true.
Right.
And if he was beating her, then why would she marry him?
Exactly.
4 weeks before.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's all BS that this continues the way that it does and that police refuse to do anything. And the thing is that they don't have evidence of some things because why? Because they screwed it up from the beginning. That's why.
Yeah. And I've talked to several of Jamie's ex-girlfriends, and they're all like, he's never laid a hand on us. You know, yeah, we argued or whatever, but he would go somewhere else and cool down and never laid a hand on me. And, you know, that's typical of Jamie. I mean, even my own sister, the one who lives in New York, she had gotten angry at Jamie one time and was literally screaming at him. And it was because she was angry at him because at a year or two before this incident happened, Kim and I had bailed Jamie out of jail, and within a week he was back in jail. And so Kim was mad at him for, not doing right at that time. Jamie seemed to be doing better at the time that, this incident went on. But even though Kim was, calling him every name under the stars, and Jamie would just listen to her, and then he would turn to Nikki and continue the conversation and just kind of ignore Kim. So, he could have yelled back. He could have, but he chose not to. He knew he was in the wrong, so, and I understand Kim's anger because I was angry at him at that time too.
Well, let me just say something real quick. For the people that don't know Jamie personally, Jamie struggled with addiction for quite some time, but we do know for a fact that Jamie was sober at the time of his disappearance and had been for a little over a year. In fact, one of the reasons that Jamie was upset with Anna was because he had found out that she was using, according to him, and according to what we're being told, and that she was cheating on him. That's what he was saying. So he was upset with her about that and wanting to work on their relationship. And then she, got called into work, which I have my own thoughts and theories about why that happened. But she got called into work. And another interesting part of that is that she said that she did not throw him out, that he just disappeared. However, when he went up to her place of work and was talking to her the last time he was ever seen, he asked her if he could go home. Why would you ask if you can go home if you weren't thrown out? That part of her story has never been able to be understood either. It's like, what? Why would he say that if he hadn't been thrown out? And she told him, according to her, do whatever you want. I'm working right now. I can't do this here. And then Jamie left, and that was the last time he was seen. So this is two people who have just been married for 4 weeks, folks. 4 weeks. Usually when something like this happens, the first person they suspect is the spouse. And we know that she was the last person who saw him. So why, unless you're going to give me like some straight up video of her doing whatever that shows there's no way that she could have been involved, I'll never believe it. I'll never believe it. Jamie was loved by everybody except for a small little group. So, and it seems to me, from what I'm hearing, I haven't been down there to check it out for myself for a fact, but I get it. My inbox gets flooded with people saying that she's running around with, a lot of bad people. And so if what Jamie said is true, and she was back to using, narcotics and running with bad people. We also know that her brother had just gotten out of prison. He had been in prison for attacking somebody. It's public record.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Very
Pretty
bad. He was trying to
violent.
kill him. He was trying to kill him. It was very violent. So, you know, you have that person in the circle too. So let's fast forward a little bit here. Let's see. Okay. Just looking at questions here for a second. Yes, Lacey. Yes, 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 honey. Hands down. No, it hasn't, Lisa. It's never added up. And she's just, wandering around doing her thing and, taking vacations to California. And Rosemary, girl, you hit that nail on the head. Whack job. And then did you also see that they just solved the Delphi murder case? So all his conspiracy theories just went out the window. So I'm glad that those young ladies were able to be put to rest. Kelly Rice. Is that the young lady that was found?
Yes.
In the woods out in Iowa? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Look, and where she was, Kelly Rice, was like right behind our house. And it was actually a dirt road that we took to church a couple times a week. And it was right on the side of the road, like not even 30 feet off of the road is where her remains were. So it's like, I mean, I realize that when you live in the country like that, let me say a few things here real quick. When you live in the country like that, I realize that there are things that, honey, can you close this, please? It's too loud out there. Somebody's having a party. It's New York. What can I say? But when they're, you can turn that on over there, please. But, when you have a small town such as Boonville, and I lived there for over a decade, so I know what Boonville's like. When you have a small town like that, yes, resources are limited. But that's when you have the wherewithal to go, you know what? This is above my pay grade. So I'm going to reach out to somebody else to help me with this. But that didn't happen. And that didn't happen. I don't know if it was because of ego, if it was because Teresa, yes. I don't know if it's because of his past friendship with her, which I feel, and I'm allowed to feel how I want to feel, is part of it. And so I'm like, look, you have to go over yourself and say, look, I've got to get some help with this. And that didn't happen. And part of the thing is that's so frustrating is that I know a lot of times he has told Sean, well, we're a small town. We don't have the resources for that. We don't have the resources for this. We can't afford to do that. We can't afford to do this. And then, they're posting about all these events that they're holding in town. We're doing a hoop-de-doo, and everybody come on out. Well, wait a minute. If you have money to throw this big party in the streets, Main Street of Boonville, why don't you have any money to search for Jamie Valdez? That's how I feel. And I see that all the time. It's very frustrating for me. And I think, us having to go out and find somebody to do this lie detector test and then her refusing to do it speaks volumes. We could have known that way back in the beginning if he would have said to her, look, let's rule you out. It's not admissible in court. So let's just rule you out. If it's not you, the test is going to show it's not you. You got nothing to worry about. We can rule you out, get you off the table, and move on. But that has not happened. It never happened that way. Anywhere else in the world, it would happen that way. Except Boonville, Arkansas. Listen, y'all, that ain't right. And for those of you who live in Boonville, it is something to think about because your families could be in jeopardy. Just the same as what happened to Jamie. Just the same as what happened to Kelly. Just the same as what happened with Dorina Watson. You know? I think also, you know, there was some speculation about who was involved with it. And, you know, there was this one focus on one person for the longest time. And I'm telling you, no. I've looked at this case every way you can flip it around. Every way. And I don't believe it for a second. He may have had knowledge, but he didn't do it. So we need all of you to help us with this case. Anything that you've got, whether you know it's true or don't know it's true, think it's true or you don't think it's true or whatever you got, who's his so-called wife used to live with the police chief from what I heard. Who? Terry, I'm reading what you wrote. Whose wife used to live with the police chief? Anna? Yes, Carrie, you're absolutely right. Listen, everybody knows about my Richard DeHubby. And how much I love my husband. And I can tell you emphatically right now that if something was to happen to my husband, y'all would probably find my cold, dead body out somewhere hunting for him because I would never stop until he was found and the people responsible were held accountable. And Jamie's not my husband, but I love Jamie. And I made a promise to Jamie when I found out he was missing that I would never give up. I'm not going to go away. I'm just going to keep telling it like it really is. So, let's look at some of these things that are being said, Sean, so that we can kind of look at those. And
I've been watching.
Yeah, I know you have. So Terry, yes, Jamie's wife. Yes, you're right. And that's what we hear. You know, that's what we've been told. Anna has told Sean that she lived there. So yes, it's true. And so, you know, that's why she's got this smug, smirky attitude of, you know, because she feels like she's got one in her pocket. And it's looking like she does. So, however, please understand, and let me say again before I say this, you know, that all parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I had to get the other one out, Sean, since I switched streaming. Sean actually made me a sign that was inverted for my other camera because I kept using this one and it was showing up backwards. And then I got a new system and I had to go back to this one because that way it wouldn't be backwards. Okay. So, where was I? Because I can get on it. So, I mean, there is concern for everybody as a whole. You know, I go all over the place fighting for human rights for people, just like Jamie. Jamie has not gotten a fair anything out of this. Her word was taken right from the beginning, and then the rest of it has been nonsense ever since. And then she runs around with this smug smirk on her face, talking to people, you know, like as if she's got some kind of inside track, she thinks. And, but I must say to all of you, now there are things that we know and that we have that Sean and I can't talk about on here. We have things that have to go to the proper authorities, the real ones, the working ones, and we will do that. That's being handled. So we are getting incredibly close. We just need someone to tip the barrel, but we're incredibly close. And we know that the brother is back in prison again.
Well, on his way.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah. This time for, you know, attacking his ex-wife and, you know, almost killing her. And it was on video, y'all. Video. It was videotaped. Him choking her until she passed out. These are dangerous people. These are dangerous people, and there's nothing being done about it. And I'm going to say right now, I have to wonder if it's the friendship or if he has a fear of dangerous people. Is that part of the problem? If that's part of the problem, that's okay. I get it. You live there. It's a small town. You got to live there. You're worried. You know, hand it off to somebody else who doesn't have to live there, that can take care of this and find this man and hold those folks responsible for what they did. Right? I mean, let's see, what else we got, Sean? I also would like to say that there has been evidence that has been found, that has been brought to his attention. Critical evidence. And he didn't even take the time to show up.
Yeah, he never responded to that at all.
This is the treatment that our loved one, our friend, your brother is getting from Boonville Police Department. I wonder how the chief of police there would feel if it were his brother. honestly, this is just astounding. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Now it's been a year and a half. And this young lady's running around telling people all kinds of stuff. I get stuff every single day. Every single day. Where she's smug and she's like, well, they thought this, but then that. It's an outcry, you guys. All of you in Boonville should be concerned about this. Really. Because what if, one of your loved ones comes up missing? Your tax dollars are paying for water slides. And I'm all for a water slide as long as you got the funds to do your job. If you don't have the funds to do your job, you shouldn't be having water slide parties or whatever you want to call them. Or at least let somebody else come in and help you. Yeah, so let's look at what else everybody is saying, Sean. Did somebody ask a question you want to address?
Not. Erica asked if we have any idea what happened. We wish we knew the specifics. And I feel like one day we will know. And it's not going to be pretty, but yeah.
I'm pretty darn sure I know. But those are things that we can't air right now. But I'm all over it, like a cheap suit. So I'm pretty certain I know. And she can keep telling her story all she wants, but I'm going to take this story to people that are going to care and let them know what kind of tragedy is happening in Boonville, because it's ridiculous. Trish, who was your daughter? Oh, Thorina.
No, I think she means Anna's brother's wife, ex-wife.
Okay. Okay. Is that what you mean, honey bun? Where are you? Okay, there you are. Is that what you meant, Trish?
So Erica is asking if we think it's simply because of the police, or do we think part of the reason it hasn't been taken seriously is because he's a man and missing men typically don't get much attention? So I'm going to say that it's probably partly because he's a man, and partly because he is an ex-addict, and partly because Jamie's wife lived with the chief for a while. I don't feel like we're getting the justice and the attention on the case that needs to be done. They're letting a lot of time go by. And, I never dreamed that it would take this long to find him. When he came up missing, whenever we realized, which it didn't take us very long, that he was gone, realizing that he was probably no longer with us, I suspected we would find him rather quickly. They did, several searches in that general area where his car was found. but none of us really feel like that's where Jamie is. The car is a decoy. We're almost 100% sure of that. His phone was found in an area where it was either swept downstream or the last location, I should say, because this phone has never been found. So I think they did something with him either in the lake or upstream from the river. And when I went to the area where the Petit Jean River was, where we had searched before, the last location, and there was water there, I was surprised. I thought the water would be running one way, and it was running the other way. And so I was like, we've been looking in the wrong direction. But I'm not from there. I don't know which way the water runs. So, but seeing that area underwater and how swiftly that current was running, and this was back April or May, this past April or May, I was shocked at how much water there was. And supposedly at the time Jamie went missing, the water was even higher and running faster. So there's no telling where any evidence of him could be. And I'm gonna say this: there was a picture of a boot that was found under a bridge that looked like it had been deposited in that area that I had seen, and that boot was supposedly taken in as possible evidence. But then in looking at pictures, I saw that same boot in a picture in Jamie and Anna's room. And that was, bothersome.
And it must be said as well, too, that when Jamie's vehicle was towed, that, like, evidence was left on the ground, like stuff that belonged to him, stuff that you would have in your pocketbook, your wallet as a man, your insurance card, stuff like that was just laying on the ground randomly. I do believe that was put there. I don't believe that Jamie put it there. I believe it was put there to throw people off. But I'm going to go a little bit further than Sean. And I'm going to say that I don't think Jamie was anywhere near that vehicle. I think that's just where the vehicle was put. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So let me say another thing, too, that I know there's a rumor circulating around Boonville that I'm being told by other folks who have ran into Anna, things that she is saying about the case. I'm not going to discuss that in depth because it is part of the investigation, and it would be stupid to do that. I'm just going to say, liar. Nope. Didn't happen. So, those of you who have heard that, you know what I'm talking about. And so that's all that needs to be said about that. Now, where was Anna's brother the day Jamie went missing?
As far as I know, he was at home. That's what I was told. I was also told he never left the home, but she was at work. How does she know that?
And why would she say that?
Probably because fingers were getting pointed at him, and she sticks up for her brother, even though she had told me at the beginning they weren't close at all. But I mean, she won't stick up for herself so much, but she'll stick up for her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say that, recently she's probably been sticking up for herself a little more because she's tired of people pointing fingers at her. All I could say is, if you're tired of it, go do the lie detector test and people will leave you alone.
Exactly. Rise to the occasion. Quit running your mouth. Put your money where your mouth is and go take the lie detector test, because look, it's not costing you anything and it's not admissible in court. So even if it comes back that you're lying, they can't use it in court. So why wouldn't you just take the test and get past it? I'll tell you why. Because she's not going to pass it. That's why. She's not going to pass it. So, one, she would have to stop taking whatever she's taking. And, to even be able to take it. So my understanding from what I see was that he was home, and she told Sean he was home. Well, that's interesting because that's where Jamie said he was going. He asked her, "Can I go home?" All right. So he went home. What happened after that? Somebody knows. This town is under siege by this small group. And it's out of hand.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when people are found hanging by the neck with their hands tied behind their back, and it's ruled suicides, how does that even happen? It doesn't take a genius to say that's not how that works. People don't tie their own hands behind their back before they put a rope around their neck.
Yeah. When you're dealing with people that have those kind of issues, anything is game. I used to do parole revocations back in the day. I've been to some of the meanest prisons in California that make Arkansas look like a day at the fair. I know what it's like to be around people who are institutionalized and what they're like when they come out of there. They're just a better criminal. And they're not afraid to go back to prison because why? They don't have to worry about anything in prison.
They might actually be safer in prison.
Yeah. They have their friends to hang out with that are in their group in and out of prison. And they have, 3 hots in a cot, 3 hots in a cot, they don't have to worry about anything, right? Except for they don't have their freedom. But it's okay because, whatever, right? Exactly. So, he has lots of connections. Denise, I'm right with you, girlfriend. You know exactly what I'm saying. So, we need some light to be shining down on Boonville. Dawn, 3 hots in a cot. That's right. And see what they do is they play this little game where they give a little information about somebody else and they get a break on their sentence, and this other person gets in trouble, and then and it's like a revolving door of addicts with a chip on their shoulder, or worse yet, they're a part of some kind of terrorist faction, and it's a terrorist faction People that think that, white people are the only people is a terrorist faction. So let's think about this for a second. So if you're his wife and you're running around telling people, running in circles with people who have issues with other races or different things like that, and you're telling these people that they're beating you, that, he's a child predator, and then he's half Hispanic. If you don't think that's trying to start trouble, then I don't know what planet you're on. If you don't think that's trying to really have something happen to your husband, then you're crazier than I thought. Because that's exactly what I think was happening.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because people had been wondering if Jamie was being used as a criminal informant and maybe was done away with because of something like that. And so when I met with the chief face to face, I asked him about that. And he said, well, for Jamie to be used as a criminal informant, he would have had to have been in trouble, and he hasn't been in trouble. And I said, okay, well, that's good to know. And then at that point I said, well, another thing people have been wondering is maybe he was put away into a witness protection program. And he said, let me tell you this. I can say, no, that hasn't happened, because I would know, but there's no way that I would be spending all this time in the woods looking for your brother if he was in the witness protection program. He said, we're not that good at, acting like we're trying to find somebody. But because they have done, I don't know, 20 searches or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, that is a lot of time in the woods, but I don't know of any searches that have gone on since last February. Nothing's been done. And I had also tried to get the chief to, before spring, before the leaves came back on the trees, try to get him to go with us on a helicopter ride to just look over the area to see if we can find, like any clothing or anything, take our binoculars and look to see if we can find any remains or whatever. And at first he was saying, that was a good idea, but then he ended up putting me off so long that spring came, and I was like, well, there's no point in doing it now, because, the leaves are back on the trees. So we would.
And that seems to be the whole way it's been going is he'll just take his time getting back to you. He just puts it off and puts it off and puts it off until he hopes that you give up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he doesn't have to deal with it. Right. It's basically how it feels. And
it feels, for sure.
Yeah. It's wrong. It's wrong. And he's supposed to be protecting and serving the people. Look, if this is out of your realm of experience, don't be a goober and try to, make yourself look amazing or whatever it is you're trying to do. Ask for help, be smart enough to say, I need to ask for help on this one. Yeah. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough funds. I don't have enough help. I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. No problem. I'm going to reach out to somebody else to help me. The state police should have stepped in on this long ago. Long ago. I have another case right now, y'all, where this young lady's been missing for, between 6 and 8 weeks. And that lead investigator on that case has risen to the occasion. He even works with me. You know, we work together. He works with other agencies. He's brought in other agencies already. I mean, hello. What are we doing? I mean, you're just letting the time fly by and we're not getting any answers. And she's going on with her married life like nothing ever happened. And it's sickening. It's torture to the family.
Well, and one thing that she has said to me is she never was unfaithful to Jamie. Well,
we know for a fact
having a boyfriend 3 weeks or even days after Jamie went missing, that's unfaithful. You're still married. So I don't get how she could even think that she hasn't been unfaithful, because she most certainly has in the eyes of God, and in my eyes too. She's been unfaithful.
Well, weren't you informed that it was maybe prior to Jamie disappearing as well?
Yes. Several people
proof of that.
Several people have come to me and said that she did have a relationship with someone who was supplying drugs. So yeah, there was that too. And then the phone call from Jamie to Daniel, the FaceTime call where he had caught her with somebody. So, you know, we're not making these things up. We have no reason to make these things up.
No, I mean, that's the last thing you want to think, is that it's his wife that he loved that did it, or had something to do with it. You know, what I was going to say is you have to look at it from a broader spectrum. She told Jamie, of her own words, that she would not marry him until he was sober and had maintained his sobriety for X amount of time. So she finally married him because he had been sober a year. He had been sober a year. And he married her. And guess what? She wasn't sober. She had started using again. So I have my theories about the reason why she went ahead and married him, because we know she had a boyfriend. We have proof of that. And so what reason would she have to marry him, even though she didn't have to? Think about that for a while, you guys, because I've got lots of answers for that. But so anyways, so by her own admission, Jamie was sober. Now she's trying to say he wasn't. But the original deal was that she would not marry him till he was sober. Teresa, the new boyfriend, which one? Also, while we're waiting for Teresa, but also there has been a lot of talk about, you know, the vehicle. Forever and ever, she was saying it was a 2010 Equinox. Yeah, he dumped her, as far as I heard. But I know that she has a new boyfriend, a big guy with a ponytail. A long curly ponytail. Anybody know who it is? Okay, so anyways, so it should be said that she lied for the longest time. She was saying that his vehicle was a 2010 Equinox, and it was. It was a 2010 Equinox, and actually it wasn't his vehicle. It was hers. The vehicle that she was driving, the truck, that was Jamie's, and that vehicle was paid off. He let her drive his vehicle because he was sweet like that. She wanted to drive his vehicle. So he drove her vehicle, the Equinox, that still had tons of money owed on it. So when I said, where is the OnStar? She was like, it didn't have OnStar. Quit acting like you're Columbo. She has no clue. And Columbo's not even as cute as I am. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to bring a little levity here. Okay. But anyways, she, was calling me Columbo. That's not true. That's a lie. It had no OnStar on it. So I went straight to the head of manufacturing for Chevy. And I got it in writing that all Chevy vehicles have the OnStar apparatus on them from 2008 forward. It's a part of their manufacturing process now. It's not a choice. Used to be back, in 2003 or whatever, you could go, yeah, I'd like to add OnStar. Not anymore. It became part of their safety package. That was part of their safety rating, was that every Chevy vehicle came with OnStar. If something happened to you, you would be sure to be okay. You would be safe. And then she tried to say, it wasn't on. It wasn't on. It doesn't matter. With OnStar, it does not matter if you're paying for the service. They can track that vehicle anywhere, no matter where it is. They can find it. So then what happened, Sean?
Oh, she was saying it was a 2007 because that was before the OnStar was there. And,
Right.
Daniel being a mechanic, he recognized that was the component, the big black box that was removed was the component that held the OnStar. And so he said, when he looked at the pictures, he's like, do you see the pitting on that? He said, I think that part was replaced with another part from a different vehicle. Of course, we'll never know because, the car is gone, but we do have a lead on the car. Actually, we found out that it's in Dallas right now, which that's only 4 hours from me. I'm willing to make a 4-hour trip to go up there and see what I can find out.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours isn't too far for my brother.
That's right. Exactly. And that has to happen. That needs to happen. Because there's just so much with that vehicle that there's no way that you could not, find something out. Look, when you look at the pictures that we have posted of the vehicle, when they found the vehicle, the driver's side seat, the leather on the seat was pulled up from the seam, like when your seat is covered, the part where your rear end sits, it goes over the edge and it goes under the edge of the metal brackets that are holding the seat. And it's sewn in place there. There's a seam there. And whenever Jamie got pulled out of that vehicle, which I believe is what happened, and it was by more than one person, Jamie was hanging on to, I believe, that seat for dear life. And it, they were pulling on him so hard that it pulled that seam apart, completely apart, and pulled that seam or that seat cover all the way back over half the seat. And there was things from in the floorboard of the car and inside the car on the ground right outside the door, like they came out when he was struggling with whoever he was struggling with. So I have always felt like that there was two people at least who drugged Jamie out of his car. That tear in the seat was not there. It wasn't there. And when they found the car, it was there, along with other things that they just were like, no problem. They took her word for it. I'm sure that, they were like, what happened to the seat? She probably said, oh, it's always been that way. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just saying that's how I feel, because they did nothing about it. To me, just the view of the seat. Do you have that handy by chance, Sean?
Oh, yeah. I can.
Will it let you post it in the comments?
Oh, I don't think it'll let you post pictures in the comments, but I can hold it up to the screen.
Yes. I want everybody to look at this seat and tell me, if you're a police officer, what you would think. What would be your first thought when you saw the seat of that car? Because my thought would have been, I got a crime scene here. Something happened here.
Let's see if I can
scooch over just a little bit. The other way. I do that too. Do y'all see up there at the top, like halfway up the photo, you can see where the shifter is? Do you see the seat? How it's ripped on the seam and pulled up over the side? That's how it was when they found the car. And it had not been like that. So.
And that was actually, Anna is the one who told me that it was not like that before. Mm-hmm. And so here is a picture of the black box that was taken out, and it's just sitting at the top. Right there.
And they took the contents out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so, she thought she was being comical and calling me Columbo and being funny. But the thing is I do my homework. Facts are facts. I don't care what she has to say. Facts are facts. It's a 2010. It had OnStar on it. Jamie's missing, and the OnStar's gone. Period. And you're the last person to see him. So, take a lie detector test. We'll pay for it. Take one. I know you're in here watching, or if not, you will be later. So, that's fine. I challenge you right now to step up to the plate and take a lie detector test, Anna. If you had nothing to do with it and no idea what happened, see, here's the clue. How can you keep saying when you guys find out you're going to feel bad because I had nothing to do with it? That says to me that you know. Why would you say that? Honestly. So why don't you just come forward, make everybody feel better, take the heat off of you, yourself, and take the lie detector test. We'll pay for it. You don't even got to go to the police department to take it. We can do it through a private auditor that can do it. And yeah, Sarah, big time doesn't even encompass. I mean, like I said earlier, there are things that we can't even say right now. Luckily, Jamie had a lot of people that love him. And, you know, there have been people that have helped us behind the scenes. So, you know, it doesn't take long before you start to realize, you know, that what took place, the picture, you know, starts to come into focus for us. So anyways, let's see, we got a ProPat Bam Forever. What's that? No, I don't know. Okay. I hope no one gives up and lets them get away. Oh no. Listen, y'all. Let me just say, let me do the head thing. Let me just say that I won't let Sean give up. So I'm definitely not giving up. And it will never, ever happen. The time that I will stop is when I'm watching those folks go in handcuffs with the bailiff. That's when I'll stop. And when we find what happened, but anyway, when they're being carted out in handcuffs and I'm standing there with that stupid smirk on my face like she has all the time, that's when I'll give up. Until then, not going to happen. This is for Jamie. This has been about Jamie all along. Jamie deserves and has the right for justice. His family has the right for justice. And I won't stop until they're held accountable for what they've done. What about you, Sean?
Like I said before, especially recently, and I think part of that had to do with the fact that his birthday was coming up, and
Sure.
And his daughter's birthday had come by without, you know, any contact again. So that's 2 years in a row. I kind of wanted to just get life back to normal, but I can't do that. I can't.
Right.
As much as I would sometimes really like to just, you know, say pooey on this, I'm going to forget about all this. I can't, because that's not doing my brother justice, and he deserves justice. He
That's
deserves
right.
to be found. Whatever's left of him deserves to be laid to rest. We deserve closure. We don't need to live the rest of our lives in limbo, not knowing what happened to him. It's not right. It's not acceptable. And when I have people like his wife messaging me hateful things on Facebook, instead of making me want to back off, it gives me more determination. So she can keep sending me the messages.
Yes, please do. Send me some. Send me some, please. I feel left out. Send me
Yeah,
some,
so
man.
it's not
Lonely.
happening. I'm not giving up. And, like I said, until my dying breath, I will be looking for him, advocating for him, and just, I'll do as many of these live interviews as I have to, even though I hate them. I'll keep doing them.
And I don't know why, because you're so lovely and everybody loves you. And
well, that's not the point. It's the anxiety of it all, and knowing that the people involved are watching.
Right.
I don't like that, but
right.
I'm not afraid of them, so they can watch all they want.
Yeah, watch. Send me some messages, please. I feel left out, and it's really not fair.
I don't think they realize what we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave us backbone. It gave us grit. I am soft and gentle. I do have the Lord on my side. The Lord is always going to be on my side. I've got my guardian angels protecting me. I'm not afraid. So they can come at me if they want to. And if they do away with me, I'm going to heaven. So I'm not scared. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to give up, even as hard and as bad as it gets sometimes, even between us siblings. This is a lot of stress on us, and we're going to fight and bicker because we're heavy laden right now. And, it doesn't matter. We're going to get through this all together.
Sean is indeed very strong, Lisa. You are right. And, I've been working with her side by side with her since this started. And she is one tough lady, definitely. But I'll never let her give up, because I know that her deep, deep love for her family. Jamie was the baby. She helped take care of Jamie. She helped raise Jamie. She, did things with Jamie. They all did.
Yes, all of us did.
Right. But Sean was the oldest. And, you always have a certain amount of responsibility being the oldest. So trust me, I know, because I have 3 boys, and my oldest had to take care of the 2 youngers while I was working and taking care of things. And it's just the way that it was then. And so, you have this bond with your siblings, and I'm sure they all have it. And that's what drives Sean, because this is a child that she read to. This is a child that she cooked for. This is a child that she did all these things for when they were younger kids. Same as, Nikki and Kim and Daniel. They did things for him too, I'm sure. I've just had the pleasure of being able to reminisce with Sean about those things when we've had lucid times where we could just really sit down and talk about it and pray and stuff like that. And she's expressed, how she feels. It almost becomes like your child. And even though it's not, it doesn't matter. It's her sibling, for the love of God. And you just can't walk away. You can't walk away. And I've never, I lost a friend not too long ago. They found her on the side of the road in in Arkansas. We didn't have that kind of a relationship. We grew up together, but we weren't super, super close. That was heartbreaking for me, because I was following the case, hoping that I could maybe help out in some way. And then when they announced who it was, I just about died. I just fell out. And And that was hard enough for me. I can't come close to even imagining how Sean feels. And I've always said that. I know that. But that's what drives me to keep going. Because I can't imagine her having to live the rest of her life with this. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. And, when people do stuff like this, it affects everyone. Not just the person's life that you took, but their family and their family and their family. Jamie was a husband. He was a father. He was a brother. He was an uncle. He was, all these different things. And most importantly, he was a human being who deserved to live. And he was cheated. He was lied to. And I believe very strongly that he was murdered by the people that he trusted. And I'm going to feel that way for as long as I live. So I'm not giving up until the truth is out there. And the more that she runs around saying her, spinning her webs of stories and, backtracking and, the more she does that, the more determined I am to make sure that whoever is involved is held accountable. So I will again say to her that in all seriousness, if you would like to interview with me, Anna, I would welcome you to do that. You can come on here and talk to Columbo yourself. And we'll be serious. We'll talk about the facts and you can clear up what you think or what you feel like happened and, all that stuff. I'm extending the invitation to you now, right now, that if you want to come on here and give your voice, but the other case that we're working on, the guy did that. He came on and he interviewed. So if you would like to do that, go ahead and inbox me and we can discuss it and discuss a time. And you can come on here and, tell people how you feel, clarify what you think happened, so on and so forth. Or you don't have to come on here. You can let me know that you would be willing to take the lie detector test, and I will arrange that for you quickly so that you can get in there, get it done, and get out of there. It's not like somebody's going to be standing there waiting with handcuffs for you because they're not admissible in court. Anyway, they can't be used as evidence. So, if you're telling the truth, you have nothing to hide. Go take it and let this person who cared very, very deeply about you at one time, cared very, very deeply about you at one time. Let her have some peace in her life. The fact that you're not doing anything to help her have some peace in her life says a lot about who you are as a human being. If anything, you should do it just for Sean and let her have peace of mind. So if you're willing to do that, that would be great. And I would love for you to inbox me and I will arrange that for you right there in Fort Smith. You can go there and get it done, and then we can call it, what it really is, right? So what else? Do we have some questions? We're gonna do a few questions, and then we're gonna let Sean off of here, because when Sean is not doing stuff for the case, She spends time with her very, very lovely grandchildren. And oh my gosh, y'all, these kids are so cute and so fun and just a blessing, a straight up blessing. You know what I mean? And I love to see when she posts stuff about her grandkids. They're just amazing. Um, let's see, what do we got as far as questions? Do you see any questions, the hubby? Um, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, I'm about to be standing at the top of every mountain, screaming it. So I've had enough. It's been too long, and you know, knowing the things that we know that we can't share with you guys would be absolutely flabbergasted. If you are not flabbergasted already, you would be flabbergasted if you knew what we know and what evidence we have. So um yeah, follow us. If you hear things, tell us. You know, you can remain anonymous. You can go through my website, jccaresusa.com. It's pinned at the top of my page. You can leave an anonymous message. Go to the 1-800 number, select the number that says anonymous tips, and you can go in there and leave a voice message, or, you know, however you want to do it. And, or you can reach out to me here. I mean, I'm everywhere right now. So we're on. I mean, Jamie's case has inspired me to take this even further. We're now on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Tribal. We're on many different platforms now. Until somebody gets this handled, and I've got a feeling it's coming pretty quick. So, yeah, let's see what else we got. Is that it? Okay, let me tell you, just for those people that don't understand, JC Cares USA is our organization. It's a missing persons organization, and we also do, you know, just whatever we can help with. Like we'll help out with foster children. We do tragedies like natural disasters and stuff like that. But this is our main thing, is missing persons. So that is our organization, and right now it's in the process of being turned into nonprofit. When we first started it, we were going to live in New York, and then we decided to move to Pennsylvania, and then now we decided to move to New York. So we kind of had a little lag there, but it is in the process of being nonprofit. And I'm open book about my books, open. So I don't have any issue with that. Oh, we're on TikTok too. Forgot. Thank you, Misty. And Instagram too. So, and I'm doing that for a reason. Y'all see why. But Asa Smiles is a subsidiary of JC Cares. They're one and the same, but Asa Smiles is just kind of the handle that Tyler and I came up with, because that's kind of our motto, you know, smile, it's contagious. And it really is. So who is the Todd guy that commented on one of his Facebook photos threatening his life? It was 5 years ago. He made the threat, but was he looked into?
I actually spoke to him. That guy actually at one time was very close to Jamie. And when all of that went down, where Todd was coming at Jamie, was actually during probably the worst time in Jamie's life. It was like right after our mother passed, and Jamie was pretty bad into the drugs at that time, and ended up, I think, taking he was taking medication for his back, and it wasn't narcotic, but evidently Jamie took that to sell it or take it or something like that. So, you know, Jamie wasn't perfect, especially when he was in his addiction. So that guy was actually, I'm pretty sure, in prison at the time Jamie came up missing. I did talk to him later, and he was shocked to find out that Jamie had come up missing. And I actually talked to him as well about the underage girls. And yeah, he was, you know, was like, that's not correct at all. So he knew Jamie very well and was at that time very angry at Jamie and did say some things. And one of my sisters actually kind of got involved in that as well, just coming back at him. And it was shortly after that we found out Jamie had gone to rehab, because I think Jamie was realizing how bad in the addiction he was. And you know, that was one of the things about Jamie. When he was using, it wouldn't take him very long to realize he needed help to get past it and to get better. And, you know, and in actuality, when
hair's bothering me.
When I found out that he was with Anna, and, you know, that one of the stipulations was that he be clean for a year before they get married, I was happy, you know, because that, you know, that was nothing but good for Jamie to be clean for a year. And so he messaged me that they were taking classes in Oklahoma for the, I don't know if they're like marriage therapy counseling sessions that you have to do in Oklahoma to get a cheap marriage license. But they were doing that. And so he messaged me when they finished the classes, and he messaged me the day that they were getting married to let me know, hey, we're getting married today. And he was excited. I was excited for him because he seemed so happy. And, you know, you don't go from being deliriously happy to just running out on your wife 4 weeks later.
No, he was so happy that she was finally going to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got sober and got straight because he wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he was super, super happy. And then 4 weeks later, he's gone. That makes no sense. He had just started a new job where he had to pass a drug test.
Yeah.
As a butcher. He was clean. He was doing good. And I will say this, since we brought up Todd, I have received several reports that somebody else did have a very big issue with Jamie, and had a grudge against him. I'm not sure the whole details. I wouldn't put them on here if I was looking at them right now. I've got them in my case file, but yeah, it was, you know, let's just say that person who had the grudge runs in Anna's circles. Let's just say that. And everybody knew about it. So, yeah, I mean, people were messaging me telling me that this person had a grudge with him, and then all of a sudden, Anna starts spreading all these rumors, and then Jamie's gone. And she still had Jamie's truck. Why? Because she's married to him. And her car got repossessed. And the other big thing is, where's his gun? The gun that she says he gave to his sister Nikki. And Nikki's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a gun. He never gave me his gun. Where's his gun? I would like to know. Where is it? It's in her name, isn't it?
Yeah, it would have had to be, because back in his 20s, I believe he was in prison and for a felony drug count, and you can't get a gun when you're a felon. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so it was in her name, but it was only in her name because they were buying it and he couldn't. So where is it? Anybody know? Anybody buy a gun recently in Boneville back around that time? If you did, you may have a piece of evidence. And if you do, I'd like to know.
There's a black Glock. I can't remember the caliber off the top of my head, but I do remember it was a Glock.
Yeah, I can't remember either without looking in the file. Okay, so we've been on here quite a while. Let's just have Sean answer a couple questions. If y'all got a question for her before I let this lady have some mercy and go to bed for the evening, because she's going to go snuggle up with her babies. So, yeah, if you got a couple questions, please ask them now so I can let her get off of here and get some rest.
Mandy had asked if the interview with Anna was recent. That was actually back 3 to 4 months after he went missing. So it's been a while. And then the only other, we've tried to get her to interview or, talk to the news stations whenever we would have to talk with them. We did an interview with Jason Hebert several months after Jamie went missing, and invited Anna to that, and she refused, but was in the comments, making comments during that interview. When we did the recent interview with The Vanish, she was invited to that and said she would only interview with Dr. Phil. So, we've invited her. She's always welcome to come to any interview and talk anytime. She blocked me on Facebook a few months ago, and that was because there was some ladies on my Facebook arguing with her. I was not involved in that argument, but she blocked me, and it's like, whatever. I wasn't really relishing talking with her after seeing her with her at that time current boyfriend, but and then watching her run out the courtroom giggling like it was funny that she was with some other guy and Jamie's brother and sister were sitting in a courtroom. So, I'm just going to hush.
Yeah, who does that? You see your husband, your missing husband's sister at court, and you just walk by her with your new boyfriend and give her this ugly little smirk as you're walking by and not say a word to her, like, how are you? And by the way, as I was saying earlier, Sean was in support of her early on. So, because she played this big old game with Sean, Sean would send her flowers to make her feel better. And
Yeah, that was for her birthday. So,
yeah. And
because I felt bad for her. She was
sure. And at the time at the time you were like, I really hope it's not. I really hope she didn't have anything to do with it, which a lot of people would do that. A lot of people do that. So, you don't want to think the worst of somebody that you know that your brother loved, but then, you find out that as time goes on, that things just don't make sense. They don't add up. And then you're left with no choice but to face what you really didn't want to face initially.
Yeah, I'm the type of person who believes the best in anybody and everybody until proven wrong. And you actually, for me, have to do a lot to get on my bad side. And maybe it's because I have a lot less patience these days with being under so much stress, but I'm not playing those games anymore. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm not going to allow anybody to run over me anymore. Right. It's not happening. So
I'm so glad. I'm so glad, because you're such a kind, loving person, and you don't deserve any of the stuff that's been happening to you. None of the family does. But it affects your life in every way. And it's hard for some people to understand it, but it affects your life in every way. You can't just say, okay, I'm just going to accept it for what it is. You can't. You just can't. It's not the way it works. It'd be nice if it was, but if you're like me, this isn't even, Jamie's not my brother, but I lay in bed at night and think sometimes for hours. Oh, wait, I need to check that. Oh, you know what? I need to look until this happens, or I need to call this person, and I need to, it's never ending. It doesn't stop. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So we're going to go ahead and let Sean off of here, y'all. And then I'll have a couple things to say before we end the live. But Sean, thank you so much for being with us again. I know how difficult this is. And I'm not going to let you give up.
Thank you.
I have to carry you every step of the way. I will.
We will. We will. Absolutely.
That's right. All right, love. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you later.
Okay.
Probably tomorrow or something. Okay, baby. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, y'all. So Sean will probably remain in the comments for a few minutes, just to answer any questions anybody else may have, and all that good stuff. Y'all, I just want to say that I've been involved in a lot of things in my life, like, on the fight for justice side of things. And this is like by far the craziest thing I've ever seen. It really is. And it's hard to wrap my mind around it. I just don't understand. And I think that it has gotten so out of hand now that the charade has to be kept up, because if the truth comes out about how much the ball was dropped, then there's going to be a problem, So I think the charade has to be kept going. And that's why we can't even depend on them to continue the case. We have to find somebody else to help us because, I mean, they go sometimes 3 weeks before they'll even return a message to Sean or a phone call, and that's just not right, y'all. It's not right. And so anyways, I hope that you all will pray for Sean if you're the praying kind. And I pray that anybody in here who feels like they have any information that they want to give to me, inbox me or send me an email. The email's pinned up to the top as well. But do come forward and let us know what you know. If you need to be anonymous, look, I got you. I got you. I'm not going to, give up anybody that comes forward with information that helps us figure out what happened and who's responsible. So, I thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the people who have reached out thus far, because there's a lot. So, and you help me build this case when you do that. And I am forever grateful for that. So just keep it coming. We love you guys so, so much. All of our ASA allies are just amazing people. Those of you who come in here and spend your time watching these videos to help us find loved ones. You see the sorrow and the agony in Sean's face when she's on here. That's been there for 1.5 years now. So anything that you can give us, we appreciate it. And we love you. And we pray for all of you. And I would always remind everybody at the end of every live to choose kindness. Choose kindness. And Anna, reach out. I'm here. And as for everybody else, thank you for coming. Smile. It's contagious. We love you so much. Thank you. Good night, y'all.